Well, happy Loki Day to every single one of you guys. We're here talking episode 2 of Loki in full spoiler detail. I'm so excited to be here talking with you guys because it's Loki. And I absolutely loved the first episode, and now we are talking episode 2, and this is just going to be a blast, guys. So make sure to comment down below your theories, your thoughts, what do you think is going on so far, as well as make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking Loki and every single geeky content over here on a daily basis. God, I'm so excited. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Loki so far, again, episode 1, if you missed my first review, I loved it to pieces. It was phenomenal, and I ate up every little bit of it. It was such a blast, something that really was surprising and shocking, and honestly just had me sitting there like, this is awesome. And episode 2 opens up the doors a little bit more. Well, again, furthering the TVA and a little bit more of that, but finding out what is this mystery, who is this other variant of Loki, and what is their actual purpose, what are they trying to do? And episode 2 establishes that while dropping a giant bomb at the end that I actually predicted right in my episode 1 review, and we're going to get all to that very soon. So, of course, the opening scene is actually quite fun. They're at this Renaissance festival, and they go in, and of course, the classic song from Shrek 2 and just in general everywhere starts playing, and great action scene opening up. But this variant of Loki ends up able to do magic and take control of these people, and then taking one of them hostage and leaving us up to say, well, what is going on now? What does she want? Well, I already kind of gave it away. What does she want? Because this is a girl version of Loki that we'll talk about that bomb drop at the end, but it was very interesting to see how they were able to tie that all together and bring it to life in a very sort of minute and unique way. Now, of course, this was just fun, and it's very haunting. I feel like, just like I got this Twilight Zone vibe from WandaVision, I get a Twilight Zone vibe from this as well, but also in a sense of an Inception type light, which is just really unique. I love seeing the TVA, the whole world, the organization, and seeing it fleshed out a little bit more is honestly, again, just really interesting. And again, this is a part of the universe in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I'm not versed in too much from the comics. I know tidbits of it, but not too much. And I feel like, as much as we thought we knew the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far after Endgame, it's showing us that, no, this is just the beginning of Phase 4 and the beginning for what's going to happen. In Avengers Endgame, the Infinity War saga, that was really just the beginning. Now the world is starting to flesh out and open up into a whole new light. But I did think this episode was fun, opening up, seeing Loki. He's kind of in training. He has that little clock that's jumping around. And they end up, hey, we're going to go to our next mission. Let's do it, buddies. And of course, as they are going to the biggest thing about this whole entire thing is that as they go to that Renaissance festival, he kind of stalls them. Now, I think there's still the conversation, is Loki just interested in meeting this variant, figuring out what their purpose is, or does he actually want to work for the TVA? I'm going on the side that I think he actually does want to stop this Loki and in general figure out what's going on, but help the TVA in a sense, because I think it is in his best interest to do so. I think after the first episode, we kind of see that Loki is not, this version of Loki at least, is not a bad person. There's just this soft shell to him, this outer shell, that very much is a persona, an illusion. And I think we've always known that about Loki. But it's going to be interesting to see if this variant is that exact same way, or in general, if the variant is just purely evil. I imagine it's probably going to be the same way, that it does have a softer shell inside of it, and some more of a traumatic past that maybe it is doing all this heinous criminal stuff that it's trying to commit. Even though Loki did the same amount, I feel like this is kind of a different version, and we're going to learn a lot cool things. Because I think they said that her name was Brandy. Going to be interesting to say the least. But of course, playing in this episode, Loki, talks too much. The branch, they end up leaving, they lose track. But in a sense, he was right. To the TVA, he was telling him, if you go, you're all going to die. To the Loki variant he was talking about, he tells her, I was doing it for you, which intrigues her. But that's the thing. Loki is a master of manipulation. So whose side is he really on? That's something that we're going to be playing in. And I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. I mean, reality is, I think Loki, the side that they're always going to be on is the side of themselves. It doesn't matter who they're helping or what they're going to do or who they're working with. They are always going to help themselves. And I think we kind of learned that in here. It's always Loki's show, no one else. And that's really much it's coming out to be. We get some nice little interactions with Agent Morbius and, of course, his commanding officer. And there's some nice interactions there, pretty much saying, I believe in this Loki. I believe in it. And I think that's something that I'm really interested to see, is how Owen Wilson's character is a little bit more fleshed out. Now, of course, he goes to Loki and he goes, I want you to read through all these papers, figure out what is going on, find this Loki variant, see if you can figure out anything that we haven't seen. Act like it depends on your life. And in a sense, it does depend on his life. If he doesn't figure this out, he's going to die. But of course, he goes to get a snack, he's looking through, then he wants to figure out more about the TVA itself, but those are all classified documents. The documents that he is given, though, is a lot of the apocalyptic stuff, which one of the big things was Ragnarok. Now, for a second, I thought, oh my god, are we going to go to that Ragnarok? It makes sense why we didn't. But they go and test it on Pompeii, which is one of the most biggest travesties in the entire history, and they want to see if they can really much cause trouble in there and do changes without it actually breaking the timeline. And it seems like it works. Their theory is tested out well, which then gets them to say, hey, we're going to go with this supermarket in Alabama, which is in 2050, which is actually way in the future than we've ever gone, which I think goes back to Kevin Feige's words, is that Phase 4 will touch on the past, the present, and the future. There's no definitive, storyline. Well, there is storylines interwelt, but the timeline is going to be a little bit different. I think we see that Loki is kind of just the start of that. This is very much the multiverse playing around and kind of learning a little bit more about time and the verses that it could possibly do. And whatever happens in Loki, I think is in for a surprise to see how it ties into the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe going so far. But, of course, going in there, they head to this apocalyptic nature, which was really dense and dark, and I'm really liking the cinematography and the visuals that they're putting in here. But, of course, they split up, they're still looking around, and he ends up going with, I can't remember the name off the top of my head of what she is, but she is from Lovecraft Country. I loved her in there. I love her attitude in this. She's just such a badass. But of course, we see this guy, and Loki's like, that probably would be me. Goes up to him, and of course, touches her and transfers the Loki into her. And they have this nice discussion. Again, hearing two Lokis talk, hearing their ideologies and their thoughts and how they work really was interesting, to say the least. As they're walking through, and then they perform that action sequences, and then her plan goes all off. All these little things start dropping, and we see the timeline is just spreading, and multiple times she literally bombed the timeline, which not great. And heading into episode 3, and in fact, I don't even know how many episodes there is. Is there 6 or 8? I'm not sure, but I don't want this show to end. And seeing how that goes, I'm like, oh my god, it's going fast. And the way that the show is paced, it's moving at a brisk pace, giving us revelations that need to be giving revelations. No filler yet. It just feels like it's moving and giving us answers to questions that we needed, while giving us more questions to what's going to go to the future. And that's how a great show should be written. Every question we had in episode 1 was pretty much answered in episode 2. Who is this Loki variant? What are they doing? Why is their purpose? We don't still know, but at least we know what this Loki variant looks like and who they are and what makes them a little bit different and click. But of course, by the end of this episode, she leaves the portal open. The whole agents are running behind him to stop Loki, and he goes through it, and it just seems so dissatisfied. And that comes down to the point, is what is this? I really just think that Loki is just interested to see what's going on. And like I talked about last week, I predicted that this would be the girl one, and it turned out to be the girl Loki. Now, Richard E. Grant, I'm still betting my money on, even though he's cast in the show, he is going to play another version of Loki. I think we're going to see the Council of Lokis. If you're from the comics, you definitely know that whole entire thing. I'm not, again, versed totally in that, but I know of it, and I've read a little bit about it, so I think that's going to be really cool to see how they're able to tie all of that in. Again, this is just becoming a show that it's going to suck me in every week. WandaVision was that great discussion week to week, and I'm hoping this kind of does the same thing. Falcon and Winter Soldier had those discussions, but I didn't feel like they were ever as big as WandaVision, but I do feel like Loki's going to bring back that fun aspect of predictions and theories of what's going on and how is it going on, even though it is a little bit more streamlined forward and giving you answers to questions from episode to episode. Again, episode 2 was a phenomenal episode for Loki. I love it. I'm love it. Can't wait for episode 3, and I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts as well down below in the comment section. So let me know your theories, your thoughts, your comments. What were your thoughts overall? Let's discuss it all down there. And of course, guys, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well for all the support. And of course, guys, until next time, stay classy.